Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately titled IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. And as part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats, and there's over 200 of them that are free to you. So if you go to our website at ipausa.org, up in that top right-hand corner is our YouTube channel, our Instagram, our Facebook page, and Spotify. Matt, and you subscribe, follow, be a friend, whatever you need to do on each of those platforms. Magically, every Monday morning, a new Porch Play Chat will appear in your feed. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm president of IPA USA. And with me on the porch today is Geoff McLachlan. Did I do it right?
You got it right.
Woo! So Geoff is here to have a chat about why play is connected. So Geoff comes to us as a professional speaker and facilitator who focuses on play in the workplace and in your life. He's facilitated play with over 1 million people. My goodness. From kindergarten, the best play professionals in the world, to CEOs. He believes he has the most interactive TEDx recorded to date, and I have not watched it. I need to add that on my list, and I'll stick that in the description when we post it on YouTube. So, whoa, Geoff, let's talk about it. Play is connection.
Absolutely. Play is the epitome of connection. Think about it. I mean, play is the way that human beings have connected since the dawn of mankind. It is the most natural, physiologically, biologically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually fulfilling place that human beings can be. And when we play together, it opens up an infinite amount of possibilities, which is the beauty of play.
Yes. And I think what I love about your description of play is it's always individual. You don't have to play like the person next door or the person across the street or even other people in your home. It's what moves you, drives you, makes you have enthusiasm and curiosity and exploration and discovery about things you're interested in, not things other people say you should be interested in, right? So and it's lifelong.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
I think that's what we need to talk about. So how is, from the time you're a tiny all the way into your adult life, and earlier you were talking about the play that you've done this morning,
Mhm.
it looks different as you move through each of those stages of the lifespan, but it is still open-ended,
Mhm.
intrinsically motivated, self-directed
Yep.
play.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing is I think as we get older, maybe our toys change because we have more money. But it's still the exploration, the creativity, the ability to get lost in an activity that brings you joy and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's, you know what, I just got a new karaoke machine that I'm super pumped about. It doubles as a speaker, so I can use it when I travel on the road, but I can put it in my hotel room and I can put on songs and I can sing to it, and it's awesome. Don't know if my neighbors like that, but I do. And so the things that you find true immense joy in are playful. And for some people, that could be like, oh my gosh, I really love spreadsheets and putting numbers into spreadsheets. Like, great. I am happy for their happy because that is not my happy, but I can totally support somebody who loves that because we need people that get passionate about all sorts of things. And I think that when we find that our passions, part of that is intrinsically is motivated through play. And we get to play with a subject. We play music. We play with our friends. We play games. You play sports. You play is intrinsic in our society. It's in things that we almost always enjoy, it seems like.
And what's so interesting is when you play, you find um, you find similarities with other people who enjoy doing the same play that you do, just like children do, right?
Mhm.
So it is a way to create community,
Yep.
develop relationships, be supportive. I mean, there's
Mhm.
so many valuable elements of play, regardless of your age, that is is it contributes to you feeling joy in your life and being happy. And
Yeah.
so it was really interesting when my husband and I have 350 board games in our basement, right? So we have tons of board games in our basement. And we do game days with
Mhm.
people who have similar interests and who like to play board games. And so when the whole house is filled with 30 or 35 people all playing games, board games, not computer games,
Yep.
not Dungeons and Dragons, though they like Dungeons and Dragons too. But when they come here, they play board games. And you play with strangers who have
Mhm.
a similar interest that you do. You play with friends who have a similar interest that
Yep.
you do. So it's really a community building piece. But
Yeah.
during COVID, we couldn't do that,
Mhm.
right? We couldn't
Yeah.
gather together. And
Yeah.
so we adapted, so we still do game days now, but on Monday nights we play with one set of friends where
Mhm.
we're on Zoom, but we're all playing a board game that together online.
Mhm.
And then on Wednesday nights we play with other friends who do that. And on Sunday mornings we play with the family. And so it's truly hysterical
Yeah.
how, you know, COVID was awful, but it did give us other ways to see each other and talk. And we're all talking, not always about the game, but we're talking with each other, checking in with each other, and doing all of that. So
Mhm.
as adults, that has been a way of building that community,
Mhm.
especially when we couldn't go anywhere and we were stuck in our homes. But for children, that building that community happens when they're interacting together, not playing on technology, right?
Mhm.
As
Yeah.
adults, we can do that.
Yeah.
But as children, the that technology interference is really
Oh.
interfering with their ability to explore and discover and be curious and be
Oh.
hands-on and active, right?
Oh my
So
gosh. So much
yeah.
so.
So how can we what how do you help people understand why play is so important, why children need play, but adults need play?
Mhm.
How do you describe that when you're working with folks?
I usually start off with an activity. And actually all of my things I do are so interactive because I don't want to be the sage on the stage. I
Mhm.
want you to feel it. I want you to be in the moment and to see the connection that happens. And 100% of the time I have worked with a group, they all feel more connected at the end because they took a moment to play. If your phone is away, and
Mhm.
you're actually interacting with another human being, the realistically, if you're laughing and having fun, you're going to feel more connected. It's natural, it's human behavior,
Mhm.
but we've gotten away from it because of technology. We think that we're more connected than ever, which yes, we have the ability to
Ability.
talk to and interact with people, but interaction is not necessarily connection.
Right.
So the screen is a barrier. It's a literal physical barrier between people. And if we have kids that are constantly have that barrier, what
Mhm.
happens to them when they go out into the real world and they have to actually interact and connect in real life? Well,
Yes.
you see what's happening is you have massive anxiety,
Mhm.
depression, all these mental health issues
Mhm.
because they're coming up with things now called like, there are students or young people that have order menu anxiety where they literally cannot make a choice because there's too many choices and they get anxiety and they can't. In my day, it was great. You're going to pick something from there and then you're going to eat it.
Mhm.
Cool. It's not a hard choice. You're hungry, get a piece of food, eat it. That's how you survive. If your anxiety is so high that you can't be in a room with people that you're talking to that you already know and you have to have an adult order food for you,
Mhm.
that's a problem. And the only way, and I worked with students yesterday, freshmen in college at Washington State University, and they came into this room. There were about 150 of them, and the energy I could feel it. It was like this, ugh, it's the
Uh-huh.
end of the semester. They're tired. They're like, we've got 2 weeks left of school. We've got dead week next week. We just got to get through the next 4 classes. And I could feel that energy. And so as soon as I said, hey, listen, we're actually going to play, I saw looks of skepticism. I saw 80% of their heads already down on their computers.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, here's how it's going to work. And I sometimes, because of when I grew up and where I grew up and how I grew up, I don't give them an option.
Uh-huh.
They're adults. They're young adults. They can choose not to actively participate, and sometimes we have that. But for the most part, I just say, all right, everybody, stand up, and you now have 60 seconds to high five as many people in this room as you possibly can. You're just going to high five them. You don't have to say anything. You can say your name if you want. You can say, hey, what's up? Whatever it is, but a high five. And then you're going to high five as many people in this room as you can in 60 seconds. And immediately the energy changes because the moment they make physical contact with somebody else, they've released a little bit of dopamine, they've released a little bit of oxytocin, and they're like, oh my gosh, and they're actually moving and they're not plugged into a screen. And then you can start to really play and you can literally feel the energy in the room change. And they start to like laugh and they start to talk to each other. And then I have to fight to get their attention back because they're
Right.
so engaged with another human being.
Mhm.
They don't get that online. You don't get that in a, a 60-second TikTok video. You cannot connect. You can't get the full story. You have to spend actual time with another human being. And if you're laughing and having fun, it makes all the other stuff so much more bearable and easy. Because let's face it, life is hard. We need more joy and happiness and fun in the world. And it's not frivolous. It has a purpose. The
Yeah.
purpose is 100% connection, creativity, the ability to think outside of yourself, to think of others, compassion, empathy. Those all stem from play. And if we look at that, how do we use that effectively in the workplace? If you care about the people you work with, number one, your safety, if you are in a hard business that, has safety issues, your safety numbers get better because you
Mm-hmm.
care about the people you're working with. Your productivity improves, your morale improves. Just walking into the building feels more enjoyable. It's not like I have to go to work. Sometimes it goes to the point where it's like, I get to go to work.
Right.
Those people are going to be far more productive and valuable to your team and more creative and engaging and wonderful to work with.
Mhm.
So play is that natural connector. I think it's honestly one of the linchpins of humanity. And
Well,
it's
and
just,
Bruce Perry would agree with you. He said play is fundamental and foundational.
Mhm.
And when we play, Stuart Brown, Peter Gray,
Yeah.
all the big names talk about the importance of developing that connection and adults playing with children, children playing with children without that direction because we have no idea what the child might be interested
Mhm.
in or the play scenario they may be thinking about doing. And if we put barriers in place by in an early care and education classroom or in a primary grade classroom, oh, I'm sorry, you can't move that material from this area to that area, or oh, that we don't have time to do that right now because we have to do this, or here's we have to get all these children ready so we're not able to go out to the playground, or all of those barriers that we're putting in place for children to experience this joy and enthusiasm and excitement and connection
Yeah.
is is not helping those standardized test scores,
No,
is not helping children's mental health,
no.
is not reducing. And I want to go back to the anxiety piece that I hadn't heard that one, but it makes perfect sense because if children haven't ever had a choice
Hmm.
and been able to make a choice about where to play, who to play with, what to play with, how long to stay there, when to move to someplace else, then no wonder they're having anxiety ordering food off a menu because there's too many choices.
Yes. Well, so I was lucky. I grew up on a resort. My grandparents, my great grandfather actually founded this resort in a wonderful little lake community. He actually founded the entire community, but they had a playground. And that
Mhm.
playground for me was sacred ground. That
Mhm.
was a place where we as kids were truly free because all the adults were working at the resort. They were doing their thing. and we were expected to take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
And barring blood or vomit, it
Right.
was don't get an adult. It was truly like you learned how to put together a winning team. You learned to negotiate. You learned how to solve problems. You learned how to fight. You learned how
Mhm.
to win with dignity and lose with grace.
Mhm.
You learned all of the essential skills for life on the playground.
Mhm.
And if we look at the evolution of the playground, how it's changed over the last 40, 50 years, the playgrounds have become so safe, and you now have helicopter parents
Oh
who,
God.
anytime something happens with the kid on the playground, the parent swoops in and saves them.
Mhm.
And it's at some point, you have to realize that those kids, they are always going to need saving because they've never learned how to save themselves.
Yes.
Resiliency is built through play. It's built through those moments of, oh no, I don't know what to do. I just skinned my knee. Do I go home or do I keep playing?
Mhm.
Like it turns you into a tougher human being. And we need
Well,
that.
and I love that because I think parents are concerned. So let's just think about where all that helicopter parenting came from.
Mhm.
And I can see where it would happen because sometimes people judge you for your parenting, right?
Mhm.
Oh, you shouldn't let them do that. That's too dangerous. Because maybe that was their experience when they were growing up and they couldn't do those things because their parents wouldn't let them do it. So, lots of this fear come from either our own experiences or not being able to have those experiences, or from a concern that people are going to judge you as being a bad parent because you let your child go up the slide instead of down the slide. And so
Yep.
I think that it is a societal pressure on parents that, oh, we have to save them from everything,
Yeah.
when what you're doing is making them helpless in the
Yeah.
future. And so
Oh,
it's that parenting piece, that why do you let your children do something risky on a playground? Why do you let them swing, 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 and jump? Right? That's what you did, I hope,
yep.
when you
Yep.
were little. Why can't they? And so
Mhm.
when other people judge you, it's really interesting. One of the Porch Play Chat folks who's been on several times would say when she went to the park with her child, parents would look at her like she was crazy
Mhm.
because she would let them do things that other parents were like, oh no, 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 that's too dangerous. Oh no, 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 you can't do that. And when they would come to her and say, you can't let them do that, that's too dangerous. And she'd say, tell me why it's dangerous.
Mhm. Yep.
They need this risk to build that internal body awareness. They need to be able to make good decisions about whether this is risky or hazardous. They
Yeah.
need those skills. And if you don't give them those skills, then it's going to hurt them as they get older because they don't have those abilities to
Yeah.
judge, right?
Yes. Well, you think about it. If you have a kid who's never jumped off of something tall,
Mm-hmm.
they don't understand the consequences
Mm-hmm.
of
Jumping off.
gravity
Mm-hmm.
and a sudden stop.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is, oh, well, they can go up higher and higher and
Mm-hmm.
think that they can jump off of something because they've never had the experience of a lower object.
Mm-hmm.
Boys especially need that danger. They
Mm-hmm.
need that adventure. They need that high impact input to
Mm-hmm.
teach us lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I mean, obviously, if you think about the human and hunter-gatherer societies and, this is non-traditional roles or anything like that, but like the men would go out and hunt, they had to learn how to use their bodies efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
And the playground again was an area like we used to have the monkey bars and the jungle gyms and the slides, like the super steep and the merry-go-round where you would literally try and hang on for dear life while somebody's trying to fling you off, right?
How many
I mean,
times you tried not to throw up when you were
oh my
spinning
gosh,
like this?
yeah. The spinnies, and then you try and play tag and like run into trees. I mean, it was amazing. And those things were incredible because we had so much fun and we learned about the physical world. Those are the most important, valuable physics lessons you can have. You can understand theoretical physics, you can read about it in a book, but unless you ever jumped off a swing set at the apex of the swing, you don't understand what weightlessness is like, and followed by a sudden burst of gravity and a sudden instant deceleration. You,
Mm-hmm.
you truly understand those things And then you can look at the science and go, oh, that's what happened.
Oh,
Okay, got it.
that's what they're doing. I see
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And so the lessons, and I don't want to call them, I know they're learning
Hmm.
and I know their lessons, but the experiences
Hmm.
of being able to explore and discover what your body is able to do and how the physical environment around you is interacting with you
Hmm.
is such an important foundation for anything that they might need later on in life. How are you ever going to be able to learn physics if that's your chosen profession? And it makes my head explode, but that's fine if that's yours. I have other interests. But how are you ever going to be able to understand the concepts and the theory of physics if you've never experienced it as
Hmm.
a child and
Yeah.
built that knowledge, layered those experiences, and deepened that knowledge that you're gaining from those experiences? So I do think that we are interfering, and I tell this to my students all the time, we are
Mhm.
interfering with development and preventing development from taking place in its normal
Yep.
at its normal rate based on the individual child because of our fears or because of the getting them ready or because the principal says I have to do this, so I have to do this. It's like there's so many more barriers in place, and people, and again, I think it goes back to not being able to play. People
Mhm.
don't know how to advocate for themselves and say, no, that's not how children are learning, right? They
Right.
can't, they feel
Yeah.
powerless in their
Yeah.
adult lives.
Yes.
Oh my. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing what play does with for children and what not having those experiences is doing to our current
Yeah.
adults.
Well, just think about the awareness. If you've ever run in front of a swing set when people are swinging and getting kicked in the head, you are now very highly acutely aware to watch out for things swinging. You
Yeah.
now know you have a life experience that says, okay, I need to be aware of that because last time it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not advocating that you should run in front of a swing set or learn that, you know, I mean, there's so many different lessons. Just the physical awareness, proprioception. You look at how kids drive
Mm-hmm.
now, young people, it is terrifying
Mm-hmm.
because they have no they don't know spatial skills.
Right. They don't because they never had to navigate them. Well,
Yeah.
and I think that there was one thing that flew into my head based on what you just said, and now it flew right back out, which happens with me sometimes. So keep talking; it'll fly back in a minute.
Well, you also mentioned the social skills. The social skills are there. That the ability to say no, to set boundaries,
Mhm.
to actually to say I'm uncomfortable with that, and to learn that no is a complete sentence. You gain so many skills on that playground with that unstructured free play time without an adult solving your problems that I think that once you get past a certain point, I don't I I I don't know if there's any science behind it, but I don't know how far back you can go to recidivize that, right? To actually keep them like it's a skill that has to be learned in those formative young years.
It
And
is, and my thought just flew back in. There's
mhm,
such a huge difference, and what children need are what are natural consequences, right? So a natural consequence is to climb a tree and to be up high and to have this anxiety or fear because
right.
you realize you climbed too high. That's a
Yep,
natural consequence. You're going to
absolutely.
learn from that natural consequence and you're going to say, okay, I climbed too high. Now I need to get down. And you're going to reverse your steps and come down. A natural consequence is being hit in the head with the swing
Yep.
as it goes by. We learn those important spatial skills through natural consequences. We
Mhm.
learn when
Yeah.
we're running on the playground and we fall down and we skin our knee, we kind of look around in our environment to see what it was that we tripped over or what it was that we didn't see, or that maybe our shoes came untied. Those are natural
Mhm.
consequences. And if children don't have those natural consequences to learn from because we're overprotective, then they're going to hurt themselves more seriously as they get older.
Yes.
And so I think that that is such an important thing for people to be aware of, that when you're restricting them and overprotecting them, you're really harming they're going to make bigger mistakes and have bigger accidents as they get older. I mean, because just think, if they're running and they're 3, they're falling, this much. If they're
Right.
running and they're an adult, they're falling like this much.
It hurts a lot more to fall as you get like some of this, I like to call it wisdom hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And you don't watch where you're going. And if there's a sidewalk that's a different level, because you haven't
Mhm.
had those natural experiences, you're going to go
Yeah.
splat.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
as we get older, those injuries become more serious.
Yeah.
So, all of this, I think, really raises the importance that play across the lifespan is critical for our happiness,
Yep.
but play for young children is essential for development.
Absolutely. I think that's scientifically proven now. I think
Yeah.
that beyond a shadow of a doubt, we realize that if kids don't play, their social, emotional, and physical development is stunted.
Which
And
then impacts their cognitive development, their
absolutely.
language development.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so all of the if we see play as interconnected, and if we see development as interrelated and
Mhm.
interdependent. So whatever you're doing, you're still learning language skills, you're still learning cognitive skills, you're still learning fine motor and gross motor skills, and you're still learning social and emotional skills when you're playing. That but if we just focus on reading and math, and
Mhm.
you're just focusing on that one domain of development, number one, children are bored out of their minds, and so they're
Mhm.
not paying attention. But you're losing out on developing all these other domains. So I think that is an awareness that we need to lift up. That, when I talk to principals and superintendents, I say, what do you want? And they
Mhm.
say, we want problem solvers and critical thinkers and blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and we want higher test scores. And I said, then the way you're approaching that is not going to get you the results you're desiring.
Oh, no,
It's
it's not.
crazy.
Yeah. If you
It's,
want better scores and you want all those things to increase, do more playtime,
yeah,
longer recess,
yeah,
less rigor in
yes,
terms of sit your butt in a seat, and more physical activity.
yes.
And I
And
can
that's
guarantee that those test scores will go up.
will soar. And we have the research to prove that from
Yeah.
Finland.
Yeah,
So, and
absolutely.
other countries who are doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, Geoff, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Any last thoughts before we close out?
Work hard, play fair, be kind, and everything that you do, always, always, always. That's it.
Always, always, always. What a great way to close this. Okay, hang tight. Don't go anywhere. To learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, keep on playing.